A balanced life is not one that happens by accident. Hello, friend. Balancing is not a one-time event. And that's why these habits are all about creating space to hear God or simply to connect with Him. Because really we should say balancing in 2024. All right, these are 6 habits that have really helped me. And I know they'll help you in 2024. Number 1, Sabbath. Like, this isn't my creation. It's God's creation. And He says in Genesis, it's on the 7th day He rested. Here's a hint. He has all energy, all power. He did not need to rest. He's giving that for you and I as an example. A Sabbath can be one of the most impactful things. And one of the things that really helps with Sabbath is it's a balancing measure. Like, I struggle to take a Sabbath weekly. I know it's a great thing. It has changed my life to do it. And yet still, I see all that needs to be done at home, all that needs to be done with work, and I really struggle to stop both paid and unpaid work to have one 24-hour block that I'm focused on the worship of God. When I do it, I love it. We're wired for it, and it's still hard for us. So Sabbath, to return balance. Number 2, a morning routine. You know, it's starting our day with God and hearing from Him starts us out on the right foot to have balance. And the thing about it is, if you're struggling to have quiet time in the morning, it's usually because you don't have space to have it. That is a clear sign of being out of balance. So it's important to help maintain a balanced life because we're connecting with God and His will He has for our life. And here's a little hint. His will for your life and my life is not to scurry around like rats. Like, that's not what Jesus did. You don't see Jesus rushing anywhere throughout the Gospels. He's doing the will of the Father at the pace of the Father. And the other reason it's super important is because when we can't have it, you're too busy. You need to quit some things, and it's a clear sign. All right, number 3, pause and notice. Getting stirred up, getting worked up happens to us all. I mean, except me. I'm perfect. No, it happens to us all. And we need to pause and notice that we're worked up, because worked up equals sped up. And the faster we get sped up, the easier it is to overrun those boundaries we put in place, those time boundaries we put in place. And so pause and notice. If you need some help, because I do. I have alarms set throughout my day on my phone. Now I can ignore them, and I do sometimes, but they're there so I can stop and check in with my soul. Is it spun up? Am I clenching my jaw? Yes, usually. Okay, pause and notice. Come back to being centered with God. Number 4, listening prayer. Listening prayer helps us to have a balanced life. Again, one of the reasons for it is because it puts us in lockstep with what His will for us is, which is not an exhausted, weary thing running around. And the other part is, if you stop in listening prayer, here's what's going to happen. When you stop and try to hear from God, everything you are worried about, thinking about, and feeling comes bubbling to the surface. I mean, stop and try to just hear God, and every thought you have comes rushing to the surface. I mean, that's how I usually know, hey, whoa, simmer down there, Zach. It's because I'm trying to hear from God. I desire to hear from God, but I'm thinking about what's for dinner. I'm thinking about what I have to do. I'm thinking about who I'm mad at. I'm thinking about who wronged me. I'm thinking about all other things. And so listening prayer helps us to see what's going on in us. But when that bubbles up, give it to God. Each thing that bubbles to the surface, just notice and give to Him so that you can hear from Him. Hearing from Him will return you to balance. Number 5, a gratitude journal. A gratitude journal. Showing where God's showing up, what He's done for you, what you're grateful for, will really help you return to balance. And here's why. When we get out of balance, most of the time, We're trying to obtain something we do not have. We're trying to obtain something. Could be monetary, could be admiration from another, could be a clean house. Like, we're trying to obtain something we do not have, which it's not bad. But when we do it in an ungrateful posture, in a posture of lack and less than, of poverty mind, those are the times where we try to start overrunning our boundaries because I just have to work harder to get those. And oftentimes, we're working hard to give something that He has already given us. For me, this is especially true. I'm trying, when I get overrun and out of balance, I'm trying to get approval from others. But when I write in my gratitude, when I write how God's shown up in my life, when I write down what He thinks of me, I'm reminded I don't need to try to get validation from others because He validates me. Number 6, built-in margin. The more margin we can build in, the more white on the page we can build in, the more balance we can have. Yeah, I like spontaneity in my life. Like, if you give me the same routine all day long, that is death to this guy. Maybe that is really exciting for you. Maybe you're like, oh, can I do the same 10 things every day? Oh, I just got tired saying it. But what I've noticed is when I don't build in space and margin, and I try to still be spontaneity and like, oh, I'm going to go do this, I like overfill my schedule. But when you have margin between tasks, when you have white space, it allows that creativity to come up. And if you like doing the same thing every day, more power to you. God wired us just differently. But you still need margin. You still need space, because I know people in my life that love routine. They love doing the same thing every day. And I'm still confused by it. But when they do that and they like to get a lot done, what they end up doing is they have these like, I'm going to do this, and I have no space between it all, and I'm scurrying by the end of the day still. So even if you're spontaneity or you're more routine-oriented, it does not matter in this. It's that you need margin between those activities. I hope that these 6 habits help you to have a balanced life this next year, because honestly, you aren't meant to be exhausted. Have a great day, and God bless you in your journey.